Cool. So again, hello to each of you guys, and I hope that you are doing great. In the previous sessions, we had a chat about programming language, scripting language, interpreter-based, compiler-based, the differences between these two. We also had a chat about the importance of Python, why Python is so popular, what we can do with Python in IT or in cybersecurity specifically. Then we started to learn practical example with Python. We saw how we are able to use Python in a web interface, for example, using Google Colab or Replit, or how we are able to install Python in our own devices, and also how to use different IDEs. We had a look on different websites and different types of IDEs like VS Code, like PyCharm, like Atom, Jupyter, Anaconda, and there are so many. We discussed how and why we may use an IDE, integrated development environments. As discussed, you heaps of those IDEs, they may have extra features, for example, for troubleshootings, for auto completion, and all of those things. So it doesn't matter if you are using a web-based version or if you're using a local version. After that, we had a chat about different types of data that we have in Python. Python treats data in a different way. We may have numbers. Numbers are not the same for Python. If you have a number with decimal, Python treats it as a float. If it's a whole number, Python treats it as an integer, or it might be a complex, which means that 2 plus 3y, which is a combination of numbers and other variables. Text, anything that you put in the quotation, single quotation, double quotation, Python treats it as a text and it shows it by str. Boolean, like true or false, sequence, list, tuples, and range, mapping, including key and values, for example, having name and a name, a student ID and a number, date of birth and a date, having a pair of numbers or pair of values. It creates mapping with dictionary and set. Then we saw how to create variables. We had a chat about different rules when we want to create variables. Variables, as discussed, are like labeled boxes, which is able to keep data for a temporary time. When we want to create variables in Python, firstly, we need to make sure that it's starts with a letter or underscore. Python doesn't allow you to create a variable with a number or with a symbol. Also, we know that variables are case sensitive, so we should be cautious when we create a variable. If you go under lowercase, you need to make sure that you refer to the variable again in a lowercase, or if it's uppercase, we need to check and make sure that variables are consistent across our coding. Variables are able to include letters, numbers, and underscore. So we had a chat about these three, and also it's not possible to create a variable with some reserved words, as discussed in the previous sessions. There are some words which are already reserved by Python. For example, for, if, true, false. Python doesn't allow you to use those keywords. How to know that? Heaps of the time, if you are using one of those reserved words, you see that depending to the IDEs or depending to the platforms that you write your code, you see that it changed its color. It's not like the other word colors. It means that it's not the same type of variable names that you are able to use. The other things that we discussed in the previous session, when you assign a value to a variable, in the left side, in the left of the equation, we have the variable, and on the right side, we have value. For example, number 25 is a value that you assign it to age variable. John is a name, or it's a value that you assign it to name variable. It's very important. Why? Because in the next example, you see that I have a counter. I start with a variable which is num, and the first value that I assign to this variable is 0. What I want to do, I want to create a loop to increase number from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on and so forth. In this case, in the right side, in the second line, I have number plus 1. It means that take the previous value, add 1 to it, and replace the previous value that you already have. Imagine num in this example is a box. Firstly, you had the value of 0, then you added 1 to it, which makes it 1, and you replaced the previous value. And just like that, you keep replacing the value that you already have in that variable box. When we want to do some actions, we need to use parentheses. It's the syntax. What was syntax? Syntax is the rule that you need to follow to be able to ask Python to perform some tasks for you. For example, if you want to show the result in a console or in the next line, print was the function that we used. Input was another function. When we use input, when we want to ask for a value. Later on also, we saw that we are able to feed a Python program with another source. For example, I had an example to create, for example, to write some codes to calculate superannuations or tax or whatever. We are able to feed your Python code from another resources as well. To put it simple, input, it asks for a value and it waits for the user to enter an input. Input might be a number, it might be a string, it might be a float. But whatever you put inside input, as discussed in the previous session, Python will turn it to a string. So the outcome of input or input function is always a string. So I had a couple of examples in the previous sessions that we saw how we are able to convert one data type to another format. And it was pretty easy. For example, if you had a string, here in the next example, you see that I want to write the code to calculate the average of two numbers. I have number one and number two. Number one, it has an input, it asks for a number, and number two, it's another variable asking for the second number. And in the third row, I have a formula, adding those two numbers and divide them by two to calculate the average of those two numbers. But the problem here was number one and number two, which are the output of input function, they are in a string format, just like a text. And in order to convert them to an integer or to a float, the only things that we need to do is just to put in before input or float before input. And obviously you need to put parentheses as well. Again, today we will work on those examples. And also I show you a couple of cases if you try to add two numbers. One of them is in integer format and another one is in a string format. You saw that it gives us a syntax error, or sometimes it treats them as a string and it doesn't do any mathematical calculation on them. It just print them the same way that it prints a string. Data conversion, here you see if you want to convert from integer to float, or if you want to convert from float to integer. You just need to put float before int or int before float to convert those things. Or if you put int before a string, it will convert an string to integer, which is a form of mathematical values, and then you are able to perform calculation on those values. For example, here you see I have an input. Please give me one number. So if the user gives number 7, it should be like in a string. We put int or int before all of this input code. It will convert it to 7 as an integer. So we have two sevens, 7 as a string, which is like a text, and 7 as integer, which is like a form of number. Then we had a couple of examples like write a code to calculate area of a rectangle, then calculate the perimeter of the rectangle, write the code to calculate superannuation for a casual worker in each fortnight. We work on those examples in the previous sessions, also to show the gross rate or the gross income, to show the tax, to show the net income, and all of those things. So what I want to do today, just to keep working on a couple of more examples to have enough confidence to move to the next step, which should be if, using if and conditionals. But before moving to that new topic, let's work on a couple of more examples. For example, for uh, the next task, I'll give you also a bit of time. As discussed, when you see a question which is asking you to write a code to perform a task, first of all, read it in your own word and write the code in your own word again. Then try to convert it to Python. So firstly, write down all the steps that you need to do to create such a code and then use Python syntax. For example, imagine you want to write a code. So write a code to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So write a code to ask for a temperature in Celsius and to convert it to Fahrenheit. So probably you need to create a couple of variables. You need to use input to ask for the temperature. Then you need to know what is the formula. So if you want to know what is the formula, I just put down the formula here and then you try to code it. So if you want to know what is the conversion, this is the formula, Fahrenheit. If you want to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, it's equal to Celsius time multiplied by 9.5 plus 32. I reckon, if I remember, we can double check. So let's to double check if I am right or not. You can check the formula by doing a quick search. I reckon it should be the formula. Let me double check. Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. So if you want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, this is the formula. Celsius is equal to Fahrenheit minus 32 times 59 and Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let me double check. Yes, so Fahrenheit is equal to C. So let me to put it this way. Celsius times 9.5 plus 32. Okay, so you have the formula. You can write two codes. You can write two code, use your knowledge and write the code. Write two codes to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So take your time, think for a few minutes and try to write the codes. Then, like the previous session, we use Google Colab to write those codes. Okay, so let's go to Google Column. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, so what we want to do, Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit converter. I can name it temperature converter. And we already discussed if you put a hash at the beginning of your line, it turns it to a comment and it's not executable. So Python will skip that line. Okay, first of all, I need to get the temperature. So I can create a variable like Celsius is equal. So I need an input. In your input, you can say enter temperature in Celsius. Yes, correct. Mac, yeah, it's correct. So first of all, I'm asking for the temperature in Celsius. Here I have the input, so it will ask for a temperature, but because it gives me a string and I need to convert it. So you have two options. You can put int. You need to have a whole number. So Celsius, it should be 25, 60, 40. It should be a whole number. But because it might be a number with decimal, it's better to use float. So we have more flexibility. And also here, I need to close the second parenthesis as well. So Celsius, float, input, enter the temperature. Then you see that it automatically suggests the rest of the codes. It says Fahrenheit is equal to the formula. The formula that I had was Celsius times 9 divided by 5 and plus 32. So firstly, you need to calculate whatever you have inside the parentheses, and then the result should be added to 32. For the print, I can change it a little bit. For example, I can say temperature in Fahrenheit, temperature in Fahrenheit will be, and then Fahrenheit. So only 3 lines of code to have a converter. Let's run the code. Here I have an error. It says that in the line 4, we have an error. What is the error? It says invalid syntax. Perhaps you forgot to put a comma. And that's correct, because if you go to this line, you see that I have an string and I have a variable, but here I forgot to put a comma. So I put a comma and I rerun the code. Okay, so now it's working. It says give me the Celsius. So I say 26.5 just to make sure that it accepts float numbers as well. So when I press enter, it gives me another error. What it says name Fahrenheit is not defined. Why? It's a good example because here I have Fahrenheit with uppercase F, but my variable is Fahrenheit with a lowercase. So if you get error, that's good. It means that you are learning. Don't worry if you getting error and error and error. So the process of troubleshooting and debugging is a part of learning. Let you make sure that all of my spellings are correct. Fahrenheit. It seems that it's okay. Now let's rerun the code. 28.3. And what it says temperature in Fahrenheit will be 82.94. So we managed to convert Celsius, which was 28.3, to Fahrenheit. Let's see if there is any Google converter. Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion to see if our code are working or not. So here I have 28.3. So I can put 28.3. And here you see that Google Converter shows 82.94. 82.94, exactly the same number. So you see that it's working. And at the back of this website, it has exactly the same line of code. It's only, as you see, it only have 1, 2, 3 line of code, and it managed to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. Let's do another example. I put 48.2, 48.2. It should end up with 118.76. So 48.2. Let's rerun again. 48.2. Press enter. So I have 180.76. 180.76. Cool. So you see that it's working. Now let's put the other formula as well. The other formula was to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, so I can copy this and put it here again if it may help. Copy, and I can paste it here. This time, instead of Celsius, I ask for Fahrenheit. Enter temperature in Fahrenheit. Celsius is equal to Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 divided by 9. And then print temperature in Celsius will be Celsius. Cool. And I can delete this extra row. In the top case, I was converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now I'm converting Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's run the code. Enter temperature in Fahrenheit. I say 89.3 and I press enter. And it says temperature in Celsius will be 30.8. Let's check. So here I'm able to convert this to Fahrenheit. I had 89.3, 89.3, and you have 31.8, 31.8, and 3330. So you see that our code is working. So technically all of those converters that you have in Google, for example, changing temperature, changing length, changing all of those things, they have a pretty simple formula in the back. Here you see that I have a menu, for example, to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Celsius to Kelvin, and you can choose. So in the back, it has a logic. For the logic side, you are writing those codes. And then for the front end, for example, to see something like this, as discussed, you can use other programming language like HTML and CSS to create a web page like this. Also, in the next session, when we learn about conditionals and if, we can also create a menu. If you want to convert from Fahrenheit, let's just say to Kelvin, it gives you another value. So we will write the whole codes that you can choose. Do you want to convert from Celsius to Kelvin? Do you want to convert from Fahrenheit to Kelvin? Do you want to convert from Kelvin to Fahrenheit or to Celsius? All of those things, we can write the codes. And the code is very easy. You see, it has only 3 or 4 lines of code. So in order to create something like this to convert from any input to any output, it might be 15 to 20 lines of code. And you see that you are able to write all of those codes. Very easy. Also, here you see not only we have temperature, you can click on this menu and you have so many other conversions. For example, time, speed, pressure, length, frequency, energy, area, data transfer rate. The same way you can write the codes for all of these conversions. For example, in the next one, we can go to a time conversion. For example, 1 minute, you know that it's 60 seconds. 1 minute should be 60,000 milliseconds. 1 minute should be this number nanoseconds, microseconds. 1 minute is a fraction of an hour. It's like 0.01666666 of an hour. So conversion from hour to minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So for the next task, we can go and create and write some codes for time conversion. For example, let me go back to my board and give you another task. For the next task, write the code to ask for someone age and shows it in days and minutes. For example, if someone says I'm 22 years old, to convert it to how many days and how many minutes they've been living. For simplicity, imagine every year is 365 days. Just for simplicity. So write the code. Every year, 365 days. So take the time, think for a few minutes, and try to write the code. I highly encourage you also to have your Google Colab or you have Replit or your Python up and try to write the codes. If you get error, that's totally fine. You see that I'm getting error as well. It might be misspelling, forgetting to put a comma, closing in parentheses. That's totally fine if you get error. So take the time, think about it, and write the code. This is a good skill. So later on, as I said, when we are confident on writing the codes, you can create your own tool. Usually hackers, they have a very, very high level of proficiency in programming. So sometimes they can create their own weapons. They can create their own specific tools. They can create their own specific packets. So it is very important to have a good foundation in programming because later on when you go to, for example, website development, the logic is still the same. You may use some other programming language like HTML or CSS or etc. But still the logic is the same, but the syntax might be different. When you go to cybersecurity, again, you need to have and you need to know about programming. So just take the time, think about it, and actively engage in the activities. Write a code to ask for someone age and then show it or convert it to days and minutes. So Peter, just take a screenshot and put it in the chat so I can see what might be the problem. Python with some templates, the formula from the variable name, very handy. Yes, Care, completely true. The ADEs, they have those extra features. And Peter, yeah, you need just to take a screenshot from your error and put it in the chat box so I can see. Okay, so let's just see what is the problem. Celsius is equal to input. Yes, because I can see in your line 2, Peter, you have input inter temperature in Celsius, but we know that input gives you a string, so you need to convert it. So before input, just type float parentheses open, and then keep the rest of the commands, input, blah, 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 and then close the parentheses. So you need to put float before input to convert it to a float. Your formula is correct. Print temperature in Fahrenheit will be Fahrenheit. So everything else is fine. The only problem is, as you see, it gives you some information. Type error, as you see in your last line, type error, it says unsupported operand types for string and integer. What does it mean? It tries to tell you that, look, you're trying to add an string to an integer, or to do some calculation from an string and integer. They are not the same type. As I say, just like saying I am 85 kilo and 178 centimeter. So 178 plus 85 kilos. It doesn't make any sense. Just like adding two different contexts. So put a float before input and your codes will be okay. Yes. Yes. Okay, cool. So it's float input. Yeah, correct. Cool. Let's go and write this code. Okay, what it says, write a code to ask for someone's age and then convert it to days and minutes. I can name it age conversion. So first of all, as you see, it automatically suggests that I want to create something like that. Age, so it's a variable. Then I have an input, how old are you? So it asks a question, then it asks for an answer. It converts it to an integer. Then it multiply age to 365 and it shows days. The same way you can calculate the, yes, very good job here, completely true. Your code is completely true. Years old, yeah, minutes old. Yeah, cool. Yeah, your code, yes, care, completely true. Yeah, well done. Your code is fine. Mac, yes, very good. Good job. So now you are getting there. The same way you can put minutes. Minutes, if you want to convert age to minutes. So age, for example, for a baby who is only 1 year, we need to multiply 1 times 365 day time 24 hour time 60. Yes? So imagine that we have a baby only 1 year old and we want to see how many minutes he's been living. So 1 year times 365 days. In each day there are 24 hours and in each hour there are 60 minutes. And then print me you are days old and blah 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 minutes old. So let's run. How old are you? So if you say that I am 35-year-old, it says you are 12,775 days old and 18,396,000 minutes. Oh my God. Let's try again. How old are you? So I am 41. So it means that I am 14,965 days and then 21,549,600 minutes. Okay, sorry.
Hot damn, that's old.
So yeah, correct. So you see that the code is working. You know, just get the logic. So just by having this skill, you can write the codes for any conversion. Time, I don't know, area, temperature. Pretty easy. For example, imagine I give you the distance. For example, distance to Sydney. How much is that? 780 kilometers. And then I give you, for example, the time. Imagine that you have a meeting or you have an interview and it's in Sydney. I can give you the time and I can give you the distance and I ask you to write a code to tell you how fast you need to drive to be there in your interview on time. Or for example, if I ask you, look, this is the distance and this is the maximum speed limit, 100, 120, just tell me how many hours does it take for you to get to, for example, Adelaide. So pretty easy. You just need to create some variables, have the formula, when single quote and double quotes are effective. Thanks. With the quotation marks, can you help refresh whens? It doesn't matter. You can use either of a single quote or double quote. Both of them are fine. But if you use single quote, open it with single quote and close it with single quote. If you use double quotation, open and close it with double quotation. But both of them are fine. It's just your preference. So Marion, let me see. Okay, so I have no idea what's that, Maria. I need to check for you. Yeah, it takes time. I need to check what might be the issue in your Python, Maria. Let me give another example. Uh, for example, currency converter. Write a code. Let me go back to my board. Write a code for currency conversion. It's all up to you. You can convert AUD to USD. You can convert to any other currency. And if you want to find the rate, let me reshare my screen. You can simply type AUD to USD. So at this stage, $1 is 0.65 US dollar. AUD to any other currency, Bitcoin, for example, to yen, for example, to yuan, for example, AUD to yuan. So $1 is 4.64 Chinese yuan. So you can use this formula. Imagine you want to convert, or imagine, for example, you want to purchase something from AliExpress application. and the prices are in, and they have this algorithm, all the prices that you see. Imagine AliExpress is selling products across the board, but it converts the prices to Australian dollar. For example, today you may see an item. Imagine you want to purchase something from China, a headphone, for example, and it shows it's like 98.50 Australian dollar. If you check it tomorrow, it's another price. It keeps changing based on the currency rate, it keeps changing. So here I have Australian dollar, and you can select any currency. Yuan, yen, Australian dollar to US dollar to euro. 1 Australian dollar is equal to 0.56 euro. So write a code for a currency conversion. Again, it's all up to you. You can convert it to any other currency. Here I have a list, and all of those currencies, they have a simple formula. So I just need to select, and later on, as I said, when we are learning about conditionals and if, so when you click on this item, for example, Malaysian ringgit, you select this one. It shows 1 Australian dollar is equal to 2.75 Malaysian ringgit. Okay, the code should be pretty easy. For example, I write the code to convert to euro, for example. So it's very important. Be careful when you change Australian dollar to euro. The conversion rate is this. If you go the other side, for example, if you want to convert euro to Australian dollar, it has a different formula. 1 Australian dollar is equal to like 0.56 euro. But if you change this to euro, 1 euro is equal to 1.79 Australian dollar. So Australian dollar is almost in the, let's you go to last 5 years. So you can see that the euro is now stronger compared to like 5 years ago. It means that Australian currency dropped. If I go and select Australian dollar here, Australian dollar, and I check it with euro. In the last 5 years, you see that Australian dollar used to be around 60.68, and now it's around 56. So it means that in the last 5 years, Australian dollar dropped approximately 15% compared to euro. And if you compare this to US dollar, you see that, oh, it dropped more than that. I remember like not 6, 8, 9 years ago, 1 Australian dollar was equal to 1 US dollar. And I remember a point of time, Australian dollar was stronger than US dollar. But now it's around 0.65. It means that Australian dollar lost around 35% of its value against US dollar. So it's good for export, but it's not good for us as users. To the completely true start, yes, correct. Suggested error and fixed line 3 to print. Good, Mac, good to know. To euro, good. Yeah, it's all up to you. You can use any. So Australian dollar to euro. Let's go and write a code. So I can name it currency conversion. Currency conversion. Then I can create a variable like IUD and then input, enter amount in IUD, for example, enter amount in IUD. Here, again, if I leave it like that, it's an string. So even if you put 100, 200, 2 million, it's not a number. So here I need to put integer, or also if you want to calculate for the cents, I can put float, put another parenthesis here as well. Then imagine that you want to convert it to euro. Euro rate is equal to 0.56, 56, and then euro is equal to IUD. So this is the first variable. It gets its value from the first line. IUD time euro rate. So there are two options. You can keep euro rate as a variable here, or if you want to keep the rate fixed instead of creating an extra variable like euro rate and then assigning a value to it, you can simply put 56 here. It's better to do it this way. Why? Because the rate is keeps changing. And it's better to put the rates in a independent variable. So IUD time euro rate. So everything looks okay. And then print what? I can print that equals to euro. Cool. Let's see if the code is working. Enter amount in IUD. So 15,236. It says that equals to 8,532 dot blah, 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 blah. So you can round it. Or if you don't want to have float, you can change this here to integer to avoid having decimal. Let's rerun the code. I want to convert 23,320. So it says that equals to 13,059 euro. The same way if you want to convert euro to Australian dollar or to any other currency. So 23,320. Let's check. So 1326, a little bit different. And it's because of the conversion rate. The conversion rate, it shows that it's 56, but it might be a couple of more decimals. That's the reason that your final outcome might be a little bit different. What else? So yeah, you see that we work in so many examples. Currency converter, aerial calculator, age converter, perimeter of a rectangle. Um, Imagine, let me go back to my board and give you another example. Imagine you want to write a code to calculate the interest rate on your mortgage. So write a code to calculate mortgage interest. So again, you can simply go check a couple of websites to see what is the current rate. What is the current rate? I reckon the variable rate at this stage should be 5.8 or something, I think. Let's see what is the issue with Python. Yes, so your code is working. So damned for our currency, yeah? 200 Australian dollar is 112 euro, which is nothing. So you can simply go and search the current rate for a mortgage. Uh, Mortgage rates Australia. Yeah, to have a look on ANZ. Approximately 6%, I guess. Yeah, correct. There might be different rates for the first home buyers, for refinance, for investors. But as you see, for example, for a 2-year fixed rate, currently it's around 5.19, and it should be around 6% for variable rates, I say. Cool. So imagine that it's 6%, and you want to calculate the interest on a 5-year or 2-year-old loan, or if it's for your property, you can imagine a period of 30 years and calculate the interest. For interest calculation, there might be two methods. The first one is simple interest and the other one is compound. So because it's a finance topic and I don't want to go too deep, imagine that we are using simple interest rate. Okay, 4.64, 5.51, comparison rate includes fees across them. Yeah, correct, yeah. So go and write the code. I name it more interest rate, interest rate calculator. So take the time, just think about it. I encourage you to create 3 variables. For example, have one variable to ask for the amount of loan for the principal, have one variable for the time, for example, 2-year, 5-year, 20-year, 30-year, and have one variable for the rate. Because the rate also keeps changing. In the meantime that you're working on this example, I update the attendance as well. So take the time, think about it. Today, 16th of the 10. Ahmed is here. Ash is not. Christian is here. Connor is here. Dan is here. Karin, and Luis. Karin, Luis, and Lynn. Mac is here. Mahmoud is here. Mario is here. Maxwell is here as well. Maxwell, how are you, mate? Maxwell is here. Nathan is here. Nam is here. Peter is here. Priyanka, Sanjoy, and Sarvajit. Stuart is here. Summit and Timmy and Zach. Okay, cool. So I have Maxwell in the class as well. Hi, Maxwell. Yes, cool, mate. So I sent you the class recordings because you missed the few first sessions. Just check your student email and make sure that you have access to the previous class recording. And if you have any issue or question, just let me know. If you believe that you didn't get those recordings, let me know and I will resend it to you. But I'm 100% sure it should be in your student email. So please check the previous class recording. In the first session, I explained everything about the assignments, how to log into the class, how to get access to the content. And yeah, I reckon if you watch the videos, previous class recordings, you should be on top of the content. Still, if you have an issue, just shoot me an email. Not a problem. Okay, so let's write the code for this task as well. Interest rate calculator. What we want to do, we want to write a code to calculate the interest rate on a mortgage. That's okay, Maxwell, not an issue. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you have access to the recordings. That's okay. Cool. So let's write the code for this task. Interest rate calculator. So I can create the first variable as principal. Principal is equal. So for the principal, you can have float or integer. So I imagine that it's a whole number, so integer. Then input. For the input, enter principal amount. Enter principal amount. Okay, so it's asked for the principal. Then for the rate, you can use float, and it's better to use float because probably we have decimal. Again, I need input to ask for a value, and then ask for interest rate and years. So I have three variables. The first one, it asks for how much money you want to get or how much mortgage you have. $200,000, $300,000, 400K. 50K or whatever. So the first one is asking for the principal. The second variable rate is asking for the interest rate. And intentionally, I use a float to be able to put, for example, 6.15 or something like that. Enter interest rate, years, for how many years? 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. Enter number of years. So everything looks okay. Then I need to have a formula. I need to have a formula to calculate the interest rate. So I can say interest is equal to principal time rate time year divided by 100%, which is correct. And then finally print your interest is interest and close. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 line. The first line, it's asking for how much money you want to get. The second one is asking about the interest rate. The third one is asking for how many years for the length of the loan. Then it calculates the interest. As discussed, usually banks, they don't calculate the interest rate like that. It's the simple interest rate calculation, but usually they have compounding. We just want to keep it simple. So principal times rate time years divided by 100%, by 100 to change the rate to 100. If you are putting a rate like 6%, 0.06, then you don't need to have this 100. So if you put the rate like 0.06, you can skip adding this 100. But if you put the rate like 6.19, it needs to be divided by 100% in the calculation and then print it. So you put something here in the chat as well. Let me see. Okay, so care your code is completely true. Let's run the code. Firstly, it asks how much is your principal. So imagine it's a home loan and it's 400K. $400,000 is the principal amount. Enter the interest rate. Interest rate, let's say it's 6.24. I reckon it should be around 6%, but let's say 6.24. The rate is 6.24. Enter number of years, 30 years. Okay, so it says in that case, if you get $400,000 to purchase a property and the interest rate is 6.24 in a 30 years time period, you pay almost $750,000. So $750,000, you just pay for the interests. How much was the principal? The principal was 400. It means that you are paying almost double of the principal just for the interest. It's a lot, no? Only the interest is 400. So how much you pay in total? You can add another. Let's put another variable here. Total payment is equal to principal plus interest. And here I can add in total you pay total. So let's rerun the code. So if you get a $500,000 mortgage, $500,000 mortgage, and if the rate, let's just say it's 6.10 in a 30 years, you pay 915K only interest, and in total, you pay $1,415,000. So you only got 500K and you pay 1.4 million back to the banks. That's the reasons that those four big banks are earning billions of dollars in profit. I reckon ANZ had like $8.5 billion profit in the last financial year. So you pay only, and the property value obviously goes up as well. But in the last couple of years, I reckon the property value in Australia was pretty the same. Yeah, it increased a little bit, but not as expected. So $500,000 principal. And imagine that it's a simple interest rate calculation. So if you go compounding, you pay more than that. So technically, in a 30 years time frame, you pay almost 3 times of your principal. So if, for example, you purchase a property, and obviously you need to have a down payment as well. So if you purchase a property, let's say 500K, after 30 years, you technically paid $1.5 million back to the bank. So if the property value is less than 3 times, you lost money. If your property value is more than 3 times increased, then you had a profit. Also here in the chat, Mac put a link. So in the previous sessions last night, we had the chat. Some of my classes, the students, they have their own groups. It's all up to you. I'm not allowed to share any student's detail to anyone, but if you wish, for example, to have your own groups, I don't know, to have a chat with each other, to help each other for your assignments. As I said in my other classes, all the students, they have those type of groups in Discord or in WhatsApp or in Telegram. It's all up to you. So if you wish, I'm able to create a breakout rooms for you. You can just go and join to that breakout room, and then you can share your details to each other. You can join to the groups. It's all up to you. I will not, and I don't want to encourage or discourage you to join to those groups. So it's all up to you. You can have your own groups if you wish. As I said, to discuss with your other classmates, to share your opinion, to help each other. So in case that you're interested, thank you so much. That's a good idea that Mike mentioned in the previous session. If you wish, yeah, you can have your own groups in Discord or WhatsApp or anywhere else. That's all up to you. And if you don't want to share your details here for everyone, I'm able to create a breakout rooms, and in the breakout rooms, you can share your phone numbers or whatever if you want to be in touch with each other. Okay, so Nathan said this one was a little, yes, so as you see, I'm starting from a very, very simple task, and then slowly I add more and more and more to make it more complex. Then at the end of this unit, you have enough knowledge and skills to create something practical. Let's move on to another task. So this one was mortgage or interest calculator. Let me show you another interesting thing. And I want to ask you to write the code for this. So I go and type BMI. Do you know what is BMI? If not, let's have a look on the website. What is your body mass index or BMI? Yes, thank you so much, Stuart. Let's have a look on this website, Heart Foundation, to see what it says. Body mass index or BMI, it gives you an indication of your body size. So it's calculated using your weight and your height. There is a formula that we can have a look on the formula, along with several other factors like your blood pressure or cholesterol. And BMI can help estimate your risk of a heart attack or a stroke. BMI has several limitations, and it's not 100% accurate in some people. It just gives you an estimate. Your GP and an accredited practitioner can help you to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. It's pretty easy. Firstly, it asks about these two variables, your weight and your height. For example, I am 180 and my weight, I try to keep it around 90. At this stage, I reckon I'm 91, let's say 90. So I want to know if my weight is okay or not. I just put my height and my weight. Let's see. What it says that your BMI is 25.7, and also it shows me that you're not too fat, you're not normal, so a little bit of overweight. It says that you're overweight considering your height. Being overweight can increase the risk of developing heart disease as well as other health conditions, and aim to achieve and maintain. So all of those things will be printed. If you are age 65 or over, then your general health may be more important than being mildly overweight. It has a formula. So what I want to ask you to write the code for this BMI to ask for these two values and then calculate the BMI and says if it's overweight. Some other website, it also tells you if you are overweight or not, like this one. Look, if I say that I'm 180 and my weight is 90 and I click on calculate, it says that not too bad. You don't have obesity, but you are overweight. If I say I'm 85, I still overweight. So probably I should be 80 to be normal. Yes, even 80 is in the border. So it means that I need to lose like 10 kilos, which is not easy, to go back to normal zone. If I say that I'm 180 and weight is 56, which is a dream, but it says that you are underweight. So just take the time, do a bit of research to find the BMI formula. It has a formula, you can simply search it in Google and then write the code to ask for these two inputs and then calculate the BMI. You can simply search for BMI formula, BMI formula. So this is the formula. I highly encourage you to review all of those examples in this weekend and before the next session, because next session I will go to conditionals and if, using if. So it's very important to have a solid and a strong foundation in using variables, conversions, using input, using print, performing mathematical calculations. As you see, I'm using so many formulas just to help you to get a better idea about operators. So just practice and get ready for the next session. Next session, we will have more interesting coding. Okay, height, float, input, integer, height, cool. Weight is correct. BMI, weight, height by power of 2. Correct. Your BMI is BMI getting an error. So the logic in your code is okay, Mac. So there might be a syntax error, but logic is okay. Care, BMI, height, float, enter your height in centimeter divided by 100. Okay, cool. Good. Invalid syntax. Perhaps you forgot a comma. So parent is fine. So good. Well done, Care. Your code is fine. Yes, it's good. In your code, Mac. Oh, okay. So I got the issue in your code. In your code, to calculate BMI, and the formula should be weight divided by height by power of 2. That's the problem. So change it to 8 by power of 2 and it should be fine, Peter. Let's have a look on your code. Integer, 8 in length. Weight is BMI. Yes, it's working. What is that 703? So your code is fine, just a formula. And as you see, it shows the BMI 413 because you multiply it by 703. So if you have a look on the formula, this is the formula. Oh, you went, yeah, you use this one. Yeah, makes sense. But imagine this one is in inch. It's not in meter. So if you multiply it by 703, the measure is in inch, not meter. So if you're using meter, then it doesn't need to multiply by 703. It just need to get by power of 2. But yeah, your code, so you got how it works. You got how it works. Yeah, let's write this code with each other. So BMI calculator. Okay. So what you need to do, firstly, you need to create variables. For example, I can create a variable like WEI weight is equal to load input. For the input, you can ask enter weight in kilogram. So the first variable is asking for the weight in kg or in kilogram. The second variable is asking in meter. It's very important. So if it's in centimeter, you need to divide it by 100. For example, for someone 179 centimeter tall, it needs to be divided by 100 to get 1.79. So you correctly mentioned that because letter X is character and okay, cool. So everything is okay. I have two variables. The first variable is asking for the weight in kg. The other one is asking for the height in meter. Then I have a formula, weight divided by. So if you wish, you can keep it like that. Everything looks good. Let me change it this to by power of 2. So you can put it this way, 8 by power of 2, or you can use multiply. Both of them are the same. So you can do it that way, or you can type by power of 2. And then print your BMI is BMI. Next session, when we learn about conditionals and if, we can add some extra line to this code to show us exactly like this. This says if someone has obesity, if they're overweight, or if they're normal. Example, in this case, if someone is 168 with the weight of 72, it says that it's in overweight zone, but in the beginning of overweight zone, it's not pretty close to obesity. Okay, let's go back and let's run this code. Enter your weight in kg. Let's use exact data that I used here. 168 and 72. 168 and 72. So 72. Then it asks for your height. You shouldn't put 168 because it's centimeter. So you should put 168. Or if you want to get it in centimeter, here you see that it's asking for centimeter. So if you wish to get it in centimeter, then you need to divide it by 100 to get it in meter because the formula is like that. If you have a look on the formula, it says you get data as meter. Input is meter, not centimeter. So in order to convert centimeter to meter, you have two options. You can ask to get the data as a meter, or you can divide it by 100 if it's in centimeter to change it to meter. Okay, cool. So then it says your BMI is 25.51. Your BMI is 25.5. Pretty close. 25.5. Also, in the previous sessions, I reckon one of you guys you asked on, for example, how we are able to round. Here, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like over 10 digits in decimal. And in case that you want to round a number, you can add another command here, like rounded. If you want to round the number, here you can define for how many digits you want to round, 2 digits or 3 digits. For example, if I change this to 3 digits, and then instead of printing BMI, rounded EX. So I created another variable just to round the BMI. So let's rerun this again. 72 and 1.68. 72, 1.68. So now you see that it's rounded. 25.51 instead of having a very big number with so many decimals, you can round it to 3, 4, 5, 10 digits. For example, you can round it to 6. Let's rerun it again. 72, 1.68. So you see that it's rounded to 5 digits. Cool. Lean, your code is fine. Yes, well done. Yes, very nice code from Lean. So you used if and else and elif. So at this stage, we imagine that we have no idea about conditionals and if, but yes, it's a good point. So next session, we will work with if and conditionals. Then we can create exactly something like this, which tells you if you are in an overweight zone or if you are in normal zone or if you are in obesity zone. But your code is fine. Yes, well done. Good work. Care, lean. BMI with 80 kg and 1.66, 80 and let's see, 80 and 166. It should be 29 something. So if you get another value, you just need to check the formula, and the formula is here. This is the formula. Yes, good job. Good job, guys. It seems that you're all on top of the topic. And what else?